A very good evening to you. This is Prime TV News. Let's take a look at the headlines first. Prime Minister elaborates on the importance of regional shipping and peace. Gotabaya is summoned to the CID over the abduction of Keith Noya. Finance Minister says the highest repayment of loans after independence is being made this year. And in headlines overseas, more than 100 refugees and migrants die following a boat wreck off the Libya coast. And now we move on to the news in detail. Indonesian President Joko Widodo has said that a joint program should be mooted for free shipping and protecting peace in the Indian Ocean, strengthening friendly ties between Sri Lanka and Indonesia. He made this reference during bilateral talks held with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. The bilateral discussions were held in Vietnamese capital Hanoi. During the talks, they drew attention to implementing a common strategy by the two countries in achieving a sufficient part of the European market. Agreement was achieved to reach a time frame through a joint committee comprising members of the two countries with the aim of expanding trade, investment and business opportunities between Sri Lanka and Indonesia. It was also agreed to prepare the background to reach a free trade agreement between the two countries in the future. Both leaders took note of collective measures that could be taken for the growth in the tourism sector. Views were exchanged at this meeting for the organization of inter-exchange defense programs among the militaries of the two countries. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe conveyed the greetings of Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena to Indonesian President Joko Widodo. In the meantime, Prime Minister of Laos, Thongloun Sisoulith, and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe have held bilateral discussions on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Vietnam. Both Prime Ministers reached a decision to organize an immediate meeting between the Cultural Affairs Ministers of the two countries to consolidate cultural ties. It was emphasized at this bilateral discussion that the present trade, investment and business ties should be further expanded based on the strong foundation of consolidating cultural ties. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed his gratitude for taking initiatives for the relaxation of visa regulations for Sri Lankans in Laos. Thongloun Sisoulith, who recalled the visit he undertook to Sri Lanka as the Deputy Prime Minister of Laos in the year 2009, invited Premier Wickremesinghe to undertake a visit to Laos. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has said that ASEAN countries have drawn attention to private investments in development projects. The Prime Minister expressed his view joining in the ASEAN World Economic Forum, which is being held in Hanoi, Vietnam. The World Economic Forum opened in Hanoi yesterday. The theme of the forum is amassing private sector wealth. Further expressing his views at the conference, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe pointed out that Sri Lanka was taking action to introduce several regulations to entice the private sector for public and private sector joint projects. The inaugural address of the session was made by President of the Managing Board of the World Economic Forum, George Brand. In his address, he said that the state sector grants were not sufficient for development of Asia within the next 5 years. He mentioned that plans should be expeditiously drawn to uplift private sector contributions. Discussions at the session centered on the challenges that had to be confronted in the deployment of private financial wealth for the development task. Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa was summoned to the Criminal Investigations Department today. Gotabaya Rajapaksa was summoned to the Criminal Investigations Department to record a statement with respect to the abduction and assault of journalist Keith Noya. A statement from Gotabaya Rajapaksa was recorded for around 3.5 hours. This was the second occasion that Gotabaya Rajapaksa was summoned to the Criminal Investigations Department with respect to the abduction of journalist Keith Noya. Former Army Intelligence Director Major General Amal Karunasekara was also grilled with respect to the incident. Gotabaya Rajapaksa was summoned to the CID to be grilled over the information that was revealed on that occasion. Sleuths of the Criminal Investigations Department had earlier recorded a statement from former President Mahinda Rajapaksa with regard to the abduction and assault of journalist Keith Noya. Keith Noya, who was serving as deputy editor of the Nation newspaper, was abducted on the 22nd of May in 2008. The abduction took place while he was returning home after work. Later, he was dumped near his house after a brutal assault. Moirate's critics point out that it is very clear as to how the Rajapaksas treated journalists when considering the assault on Keith Noya. The Rajapaksas during that period murdered and disappeared many journalists, including Lasantha and Prageet Eknalikoda. It is the brutalism that was spread throughout the country by the Rajapaksha administration that is coming to light via incidents such as Keith Noya. Minister Mangala Samaraveera has said that 2018 is the year in which the highest percentage of repayment of loans had taken place after gaining independence. The minister made this reference addressing the Chief Executive Officers Conference organized by the Postgraduate Institute of Management Association. The minister said the amount was nearly 1.9 trillion rupees. It was nearly 82% of the total cost of the year 2015. If citing an example, the government tax revenue in 2017 was 1,670 billion rupees. The overall repayment of loans this year was 1,603 billion rupees. The normal repayment of annual loans during the 5-year period from 2010 to 2014 was 990 billion rupees. The annual repayment of loans in the year 2018 was double when compared with the year 2017. Sustainable long-term solutions and easily identifiable benchmarks for Sri Lanka's development will be implemented. If this development is to be defined in a relative way, activities are taking place for the consolidation of the economic, social and political well-being of the nation. The two most important aspects of developing a country is to liberate Sri Lanka from achieving democracy and having a history of ethnic issues. Many talk about political freedom of citizens and its benefits. A creative style is witnessed in the government's decision as a multi-religious integrated country. Former Lieutenant Commander Chandana Prasad Hettiarachchi, who was in remand custody over the disappearance of 11 youth during the last regime, was further remanded until the 26th of this month. Chandana Hettiarachchi was taken into custody over allegations of disappearing 11 youth during 2008 and 2009. He was again produced before Colombo Fort Magistrate Lanka Jayaratna today. The magistrate thereafter ordered to remand him again until the 26th of this month. Former Navy Commander Ravindra Vijay Gunawardena had been accused of assisting former Lieutenant Commander Chandana Hettiarachchi, who is a suspect in the case related to the disappearance of 11 youth, to remain in hiding. He was today informed to appear before the Criminal Investigations Department on the 19th of this month and give a statement. Former Naval Lieutenant Commander Chandana Prasad Hettiarachchi is a suspect in the lawsuit related to the murder of parliamentarian Nadaraja Raviraj. Thereafter, he and the other defendants were acquitted and released. Meanwhile, the case filed against chairman of the avant-garde company Nisanka Senadipati and former chairman of Ratnalanka company, retired Major General Palitha Fernando, was taken up for hearing at the Colombo High Court today. They are accused of granting and soliciting as a bribe a sum of 35.5 million rupees. Colonel Asela Kulatunga of the Sri Lanka Army appeared in court as the first witness of this case. The High Court ordered to take up this case again on the 26th of next month for hearing. The case has been filed by the Bribery Commission against the two under 47 indictments. 3 suspects, including former Minister Johnston Fernando, have been further remanded until tomorrow. The other 2 suspects who were remanded were former Satosa chairman Nalin Fernando and the former minister's private secretary Mohammed Zakir. All of them are accused of misappropriating funds of Satosa during the last Northwestern provincial polls. Testimony was heard when the case was taken up in the Kurunegala High Court today. Further evidence will be heard tomorrow. Today was National Prisoners' Day. Prisons Commissioner General Nishan Dhanasinghe said that relatives were afforded an opportunity to visit the inmates today and also provide them with food. The number imprisoned in the country is 20,000. Among them are 11,000 suspects. At present, prisoners are treated humanely. On this occasion, it should be recalled as to how 27 inmates were killed in the year 2012 during a shootout carried out by the security sectors. This brutal killing took place on the 9th and 10th of November 2012. It should also be recalled how the authorities during that period did not take any action to enforce the law. However, the Good Governance Administration, which assumed power on January 8th, commenced an inquiry on this mass murder. Sudesh Nandimal, who was an inmate and an eyewitness, said that the army was summoned to the Valikada prison to control an altercation that took place in between an operation launched by the police special task force. He said that the prison inmates were killed during that army operation. Suspects related to the incident have already been indicted and some are already in remand prison. The Indian government, for the second occasion, has given housing assistance. This follows the success of the Model Village program. These observations were made by Minister of Housing and Construction, Sajith Premadasa. The minister was speaking at a function held in the Bulat Sinhala area in Kalutara. It was organized with respect to the opening of the Nadi Jagama model village built in Paragoda West in Bulat Sinhala. This was the 121st model village established under the Shelter for All Reawakened Model Village program. It has 33 housing units. The expenditure incurred on the village was 30.4 million rupees. The model village has all facilities, including drinking water and electricity. Speaking at this function, Minister of Housing and Construction Sajith Premadasa said that the model village program mooted by the government is a great success. 121 model villages have already been built. Due to this success, the minister pointed out that the Indian government has come forward to provide housing assistance for this program for the second occasion. United Nations Human Rights Commissioner Michelle Bachelet has commended the Sri Lankan government for establishing the Office of Missing Persons. She was addressing the 39th session of the UN Human Rights Commission. The Sri Lankan government established the Office on Missing Persons to make inquiries into missing individuals. The Commission on Inquiring into Missing Persons was established to make more efficient the work of the Office on Missing Persons. The government is in the process of further strengthening the reconciliation mechanism. As a more significant step, the Office on Missing Persons was set up. Forced disappearances have taken place in every part of the country, in addition to thousands that disappeared after the war. Light is now being shed on the disappearance of persons during the Rajapaksa regime. The Office on Missing Persons has been set up based on the aims of consolidating democracy as well as meting out justice to the family members of the disappeared. The UN Human Rights Commissioner said that this office would provide a successful response to certain family members of the disappeared. She said that this is important in the process of searching for the truth as well as for stability in the country. Minister John Amaratunga says that a new program has been prepared to increase tourist arrivals during a short period of time. He revealed that this at a media briefing held in Colombo. This program is being planned to be implemented with the involvement of various sectors linked to the tourism ministry and the tourism movement. These include airline companies, tourist hotels and transport, among others. The minister said that the new program will help those engaged in the tourism field to enhance their income. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Authority, Kumara De Silva, were among those who joined in the news conference.